So, I'd like to talk about emotion in science communication. So, science is a funny thing because the whole process of science trains us to put emotions aside, because if we don't do that, of course, we will bring subjectivity into whatever we're looking at, and that's not okay for science, which is all about finding out the truth irrespective of what we want the truth to be. And the journey of science into this ability of ours to see the world clinically and analytically is of course what's given us the enormous sway we have today with our technology, with our understanding of the physical world, and the power that we have to make our lives comfortable, to have the things we want, to have food on the table on a regular basis. All of that comes from a scientific approach to the world. So science and objectivity are a bit of a thing. Science and putting emotions aside, looking at the world clinically, is a bit of a thing. However, here's a strange thing when it comes to science communication. People are not, in fact, fundamentally objective beings. People are fundamentally emotional beings. And when you think about it, even all the endeavors of science are actually motivated by human emotion. And there's a very simple way of seeing that, because any question that you ask, which science does all the time, asks lots of questions, is always motivated by a desire to know the answer. So if you think about what I just said, there's a desire behind the motivation of science. Desire is not objective. Hope the wind isn't too much for the microphone. Desire is not objective. Desire is emotional. Underlying all of the endeavors of science is an emotional need. So let's say there's a volcano somewhere. We don't know if it's going to erupt soon or not. So science comes along and says, let's find out. Let's find this out in a way that's obviously clear, objective, and all of that. But why are we finding this out? Because we like the feeling of safety. That's a feeling, that's an emotion. So what I'm trying to get at is that although science trains us to have a kind of dispassionate way of looking at things, underlying that dispassionate discipline is this emotional need of humanity to have more abundance, to be safer, to kind of get the comforts that we like, to have a nicer car, to have a nicer house, to understand the world and feel at rest because we now understand it rather than we feel confusion. So all of these things are desires. And now when we get into science communication, you've got to realize that people are also looking at science from the outside, if you like. The non-specialists, the non-scientists, are wanting to get out of science something that's sort of, if you like, benefits their emotions. So when we communicate, we've got to realize that we're actually talking to emotional beings, not to, if you like, dry heads and intellects that just want information and will therefore be satisfied if we supply the information. It's really easy to see this. If we go onto YouTube and you look at the thumbnails, all of the popular videos have a thumbnail which triggers emotion, even the science videos. And the successful science communicators, let's take David Attenborough, who's my classic example of a brilliant science communicator. He takes us straight in to the facts of the world, to the way things are, but it's always done in a storytelling manner that is emotionally triggering and emotionally satisfying to follow. He has a genius for that. So when he shows us some rare species of creature in a forest somewhere or in a mountain range, we are captivated emotionally by what we are learning. Okay, so this applies to all of us who are interested in science communication. What are we doing? We are not overwhelming people with facts. We are using facts to tell a story, and the story itself has an underlying emotional appeal. So there are ways of doing that. There are ways of thinking about that. We want people to learn something. We want them to get some facts if you like, to absorb some facts. But when we present them, we tell them in a way which captures their interest. Again, interest is an emotion. So this is the brilliant way to find out all about this, is to try teaching, and pigeons flapping away, is to try teaching children at school. Children are unfiltered emotional beings. So when you go to the school, if you were to sit there and just talk non-stop and pour out facts, within a few minutes, you would realize you'd lost the relationship. If you were to go there and excite them with something that's interesting, but something more that they can discover and they can get engaged with, you would very quickly learn that the underlying emotional content that you're delivering, or creating, I should say, not delivering, the emotional situation that you're creating is pretty much 95% of the task done. When you walk out of the room, are they excited? Do they want to know more? Have you got them sort of feeling great that science is such a fantastic thing? They want to go home and find out something, do a little experiment to check something out. They feel a door has opened into their mind because, first of all, you've opened the door in their emotions. You've let them feel something. So, never forget the importance of emotions as the primary driver for human interest in your science. And never forget that you also are a human being that is driven by emotions, whether you like it or not. Your science funding, when it comes through, do you feel good or bad? That's an emotion. When you finally crack your science problem, do you feel good? Do you feel like you've done something worthwhile? There you go again. All right, carrying on my walk. Have a good day.